Misek says I'm in the future.
He's saying it's 1 o'clock. It's only noon.
Still adjusting some sliders here. Here we go. Uno, dos, tres. It's what the world wants to hear is a southern man speaking Spanish. Hello. Yes. Yes. You just heard me do the uno, dos, tres thing. Oh, hope everybody's having a wonderful, as wonderful as a Memorial Day can be here in the U.S. I consider Memorial Day kind of somber, but it's still a celebration for the sacrifices of our men and women in the U.S. services. Misek, how the hell are you today, bud?
I feel like shit.
He feels like shit.
I felt more like shit on previous episodes, though, so I'm actually feeling, better, I guess.
There we go. Better's better than
You
not.
say, uno, dos, tres. In my generation, you can't say that without saying cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis. You can't do that.
You're not right. I'm older than you. I'm a different generation by a year.
What?
I'm just.
I was gonna say by a year. Come on.
Oh God.
And I'm definitely more of a crotchety old man than you are.
You are definitely more of an old man than I am. That is for sure. Oh God. Okay. Not a whole lot of news to get into today. I guess we kind of go ahead and break down. How's week 3 been for you?
It really hasn't been that bad. It hasn't been that good. I haven't been particularly pleased with the new affix, but it hasn't been as horrible as people have made it out to be either. It's kind of like most affixes, one way or another. If it's horrible, it's because you're not doing mechanics.
I'm not a fan. Did a couple freeholds last night. Did incorporeal and freehold. No.
Oh,
not well thought out.
Yeah, for hunters, like we have to go and we can have multiple things that will take care of it. We've got to shift talent points to get Scare Beast in addition to Frost Trap, and Frost Trap is kind of a pain in the ass too, because like most of these fucking dungeons have elevation difficulties, and our thing's a skill shot, and then some fucking critter runs into it. And It's like, well, fuck. Now I've trapped a fucking mouse, and this thing's going off on the group, and I've ruined somebody's key, and it's time to go commit Sudoku.
I had a thing happen in Notharius last night too, where the incorporeal spawned at the bottom of the steps, on top of the spiteful. So my trap, of course, trapped the spiteful instead of the incorporeal, and
oh yeah,
just one good times. It's just
oh yeah, and there are different because of the different elevations and sometimes different physical objects that are on fields and shit. I have run into issues, and I've run into issues before with this and volley, but issues where I try and fucking throw out a goddamn trap to trap the motherfucker. It's like, oh look, it wound up behind you on a stalagmite or something, because that makes fucking sense.
the fucking houses and buildings and freehold. Oh my God, it just like. I literally had an incorporeal spawn inside one of the buildings. Like, are you fucking?
Yeah,
It's fucking horrible.
it's one of those things. The dungeons aren't fucking built.
No, they're not built for this. We had this
weren't,
discussion last week. Yeah, the older
Yeah,
dungeons are not built for this. They're not.
But even the newer dungeons, like they weren't built with this affix in mind.
No, but
So
you've got less shit. You've got less shit
look,
though. With the
wind up
newer
with
dungeons.
random shit like, oh look, I'm fucking doing okay in Freehold, and look, I managed to dodge the rat trap. Oh shit, it's still going off. Where's it going off? No, I actually trapped that motherfucker. This thing like appeared in an alleyway down the ways, behind a house, and god damn.
Yeah, no, yeah.
In the middle of a bunch of other fucking mods. It's like,
yeah, not
I
not
don't know.
not very well thought out. I not well thought out at all. The whole thing, do they even have people that test this shit? Like, seriously.
I'm sure they did, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel like this particular affix is undoable. It does feel like it needs tuning, and that
Yes.
tuning doesn't necessarily mean to. I don't necessarily mean that it needs to be easier, but there are bad overlaps just because it could just randomly pop up, you know,
I
that kind of thing.
I think one of the things they do need to adjust is that the incorporeal needs to spawn within a certain radius of the mobs. Like
Yeah.
because
Well,
that was just one thing. It's like it seems like they just spawn wherever the fuck they want to while you're hitting
yeah,
shit.
but that actually has some issues too, because there have
But
been a number of times where shit spawns right in the middle of a fucking pack, and you're like, well, shit. I
but
definitely can't fucking frost trap it, and
but,
someone's got to hopefully stun it until you can
but yeah,
get a scare beast
I'm not
off.
talking about them spawning in the middle of the pack, but they need to only spawn like so far out from them. Like it's instead of out in the middle of Narnia somewhere. Like it's fucking ridiculous how far out
Yeah,
they tend to be sometimes. And
in
definitely need to put
entangling.
some walls up in Freehold and stuff like that where they can't spawn. And there's a few other places I'm sure that I'm not talking about. Freehold's just the one that I had the worst fucking luck with
Yeah,
yesterday. Did not have a good
freehold
time there.
shitty, but it happens everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Like I've seen the motherfuckers spawn like in hulls of infusion running down, and it's like, oh look, well it spawned up the fucking stairs, around the corner, you know, behind a fucking brazier. I've seen shit like in Underrot where you're running through and it's like, oh well, it spawned it spawned up on a hill, you know, between multiple elevations with a fucking plant in front of it. It's just one of those things that you're right. I feel like it's not very well thought out, and
Yeah, no, definitely not.
you know,
Definitely not well thought out. Something killed
I
me.
feel like with entangling it wasn't that bad. Like you would run into some bad overlaps, but you didn't want to like slit your own wrists. Uh, incorporeal, like it doesn't feel like it should be that hard, but the implementation, the implementation absolutely is. Implementation is painful.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was interesting week with incorporeal. Plan on doing a few more tonight. Try to end the week out on a good note.
Yeah,
Um, raid. We had an interesting week in raid. Missing our main tank on Thursday did not help.
yeah,
I
and
think that was
we had a sick healer.
yeah.
We we had people there that weren't there before. We had a few things that kind of threw wrenches in our plans.
Yeah. But
It definitely was more painful than it should have been.
I'm still loving the raid. I think it's really good. I'm still learning some of the mechanics myself, trying to figure out the best times, when to push my buttons and things like that. And
That's the hardest part for a lot of people is learning what the best time to run your cooldowns is,
oh yeah,
and it can. One of the nuances there is that it can vary week to week. Like if everybody's DPS goes up, and that changes how fast something dies or how slow something dies, what have you.
well,
Like that can
it's
completely change when you want to use your fucking cooldowns.
yeah, it's like we were learning with experiments. With our difficulties with experiments this week. Just how we were lusting P2 and it wasn't lining up with our cooldowns, and it was a
Yep.
pain.
And
So
it was fine last week, but we were doing more damage this week, so
yes,
it wouldn't line up. So it turned out to be a better a better strategy to less P3 for us. And you know what? Next week might not be the case.
Yeah.
Might go back to P2. It's hard to say.
Well, I mean, we're definitely going to have more gear. People's going to get some shit out of their vault. I don't know what. Look at the calendar now to see what going to be arena skirmishes this week. Okay.
Oh yay!
Yay! So you got that to look forward to. But we don't have next week's World Quest. The week after is, which will be the. Okay, no. Yeah. Oh my. I'm horrible. No, this week, May. Am I May? I'm still in May. That's my issue. Okay. Yes. No. Yes. This week.
Did you just have an aneurysm?
Yeah. This week is Battlegrounds. Excuse me. Okay.
Okay.
Battlegrounds this week. And next
Next
week
week is
Dragonflight Dungeon. So that'll be a gear piece next week.
Yep, that'll be Mythic Plus for a heroic gear piece.
And then we'll have time walking. I looks like mock time walking. I can't tell. It's not really showing up. Yeah, mock time walking on the 13th with the scheduled release of the Catalyst.
Thank fucking God about God.
Yeah, a bunch of people struggling with tier, getting good tier. Like I got all the normal tier this week, and I can't fucking use it because unless it's at least heroic or higher, really,
well,
four piece isn't good for marksman.
Yeah, for marksman hunters, we're in a weird, and this goes for everybody. Like some classers are in a weird spot where their last tier set is better.
Yeah,
and maybe they get more out of 2-piece and 2-piece, which is just fucking. It's stupid and weird.
It is
to not have things get progressively better, and then you've got other people who re-rolled or are running a new character, happen to be new or coming in from last season, not playing, and they're having the opposite issue where. Their 2 and their 4-piece are really fucking impactful. To the point where, like, they can't get into groups and they get kicked from raids and shit because they've been fucking unlucky.
Yep.
Thanks, Blizzard.
Yep.
We appreciate that, you bitch.
Yep. It's the gearing thing is still, there's definitely some kinks there.
Literally, for Marksman Hunter, the only reason that you would actually use your full 4-piece set from the new raid is because you get it all on Mythic, and you can actually have it because higher stats will beat out the previous 2-piece.
Yeah, it's not for the tier set. It's purely because of the item level.
Yeah. The actual bonuses are a loss.
Yep, which is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm not a fan. Right now, I'm running 2-piece at the moment because I was able to get one. I was able to get my heroic piece with my KSM, and then my chest piece was. Well, I mean, it sucks, but what sucks even more about it, no, that's not. I'm not even looking at my legs. Not my legs either. What are my 2 pieces? My helmet.
I thought you had legs.
Helmet. Yeah, I do, but I'm not using them. I'm using the I'm using the gloves and the helmet right now. That's my of this season's here. So, and then I'm using the chest and the legs from last season.
Yeah.
And that was my high stemming bid at the moment. But I just got my bow upgraded too. It's going to change some things up too, I think. So I haven't run sims yet.
It feels horrible to be given the opportunity to have tier and go, you know what? I actually don't want it.
Yeah.
Like it would be a downgrade for me to have that bonus.
I hesitated
And the
rolling on
extra
you. You
stats.
you said it out of the raid. How I hesitated rolling for the legs,
Yeah.
just because the legs are that bad.
Well,
Like
it's not that the legs are bad. It's that they have our two um
worse stats.
our two well yeah worse stats. I guess that's a way to put it. Definitely the two stats that are the least desirable for us right now.
Yeah, I've
And
got them.
then
Yeah,
on top of that,
verse mastery is what they are. That are absolute ass.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
then
I have them.
on top of that, to have bonuses that really don't jive.
Yep.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, the
Appreciate
bonus is
that.
really not good. I'm just.
Well, I don't know that they're. It's not that they're really not good. Like they're okay, but they're not an increase from last season.
That's the issue.
They're an
It's not.
actual decrease from last season.
That's what I'm saying. Is they're not good because they're a decrease from last season. Like it.
Yeah.
Tiers should not. You should not feel bad getting a tier piece. I felt bad getting a tier piece because
On the flip side, it does mean that you and I don't have to get really pissy about the fact that we don't have tier, which is nice.
rude.
And we don't have to be pissy about the fact that the catalyst isn't out, because, what the fuck do we care until we can get,
Yeah. When we get
at
some
least
better
4
pieces.
that are
Yep.
mythic level.
Yep. It'll be good when we get pieces out of our vault and stuff like that we'll finally want to turn into tier, or maybe get into some mythic, later on in the season. But yeah, but speaking of the revival catalyst, real quick, talking about the going live on the PTR with 10.1.5.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's very weird. I honestly, I'm not reading into it as much as some people are, but it's still, it's awful early. 5 weeks is awful early to go from 10.1 to 10.1.5.
It is, but like, think about it from this perspective. Let's say that it comes out, new mega dungeon. In order for that gear to be remotely impactful, it has to come out so fucking early, because it's not going to be mythic level gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be probably closer to heroic level. Maybe you could upgrade it to like top heroic, low mythic, maybe. So, in order for it to remotely be useful to have, and for people to want to fucking do it, it's going to have to come out early enough that it makes sense for them to do. And if it's coming out halfway through the season, that just won't be the case. Particularly now with the way the gear shit works. Unless we happen to go in and see that there are just some ridiculously powerful trinkets, or something with like a ridiculously powerful cantrip effect. It will basically be something that maybe you'll get excited about running next season as a Mythic Plus. And that's really bad design for content. So it's one of those things that, personally, I think they should have released it alongside 10.1. But I'm not surprised they didn't. It probably wasn't fucking ready.
Probably would. That worries me too. It's like, is it going to be ready, or are we going to get a buggy mess?
Man. I mean, look at Mythic Plus now. So who the fuck knows?
Exactly. Look at Mythic Plus now. Fucking hell.
I mean, shit, we're running into issues where all of a sudden the incorporeals, but like everybody CCs it, and it's just like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have decided to ignore your order, sir.
Yeah,
You know?
ran into a few times yesterday too, where multiple CCs seem like they're counteracting each other or something. I don't know what the deal is.
And it's really inconsistent.
Yeah, it's really inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like you'll get one trap on it, and you know, you turn around 5 seconds later, it's gone. And other times you get like two traps and a fear on it, and you know, it runs the entire course. So it's not like it's just timing out or something, and it doesn't last long enough for that to be a thing. So it's just it's a buggy fucking mess. You know, it's mistuned, all that stuff.
Yeah, so
Basically Blizzard 101. You know,
Blizzard 101. Yes, exactly. That
you want Blizzard 101? Look at the fucking treasure goblin.
oh
That thing
god,
pisses me off so
that
much.
thing's. I've only done it one time, and it looked. All I could see the whole time while I was DPSing that goblin was a bunch of people saying how they couldn't target it, and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I
bet.
mean, you better hope that you have a fucking AOE in order to tag it.
Yeah,
But it's like, okay, 30 minutes, and if you want to farm it, it's on a 30-minute rotation. You got to go around the fucking globe. Then you've got to go stand there for 30 fucking minutes waiting for the motherfucker to spawn. Once it spawns, it's there. It's like, oh, great. So now I'm going to DPS it down. And if I'm fucking stupid ass lucky, I might get a mount. Well, I've already got the mount. I've had it since Diablo 3.
yeah. See,
Uh,
and I don't care about stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's
there's a transmog back that looks like ass. There's a pet, which is actually kind of a cool pet, but like, you know, you could do without it. There's an actual useful 36 slot bag that has probably the lowest drop rate out of fucking anything. And then they added a bunch of fucking quote unquote buffs. These tiny ass little buffs that aren't
buffs.
useful in any fucking content, that you can't sell, that are blue quality, so when you try and delete them, you've got to type in the fucking message that take up space in your fucking bag. How 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 much worse could you have made this fucking event? How much worse?
Well, it's clearly half-assed. Like in my opinion, this event it's clearly half-assed. Like it is just, oh look,
Seriously.
here's a random spawning goblin, and it's going to drop some things and blah blah blah, and there you go, happy Diablo day, whatever.
And it lasts 3 fucking weeks.
I, and you know,
Make the event short, make it fun, make it
no,
give us
it's
an
there's
impactful reward.
nothing fun about it unless it drops shit that you really want.
Well, well, that's what I said. Make it short, make it fun, give us an impactful reward.
No,
Instead of this bullshit where it's like, well, on the first character, on the first kill of the first day, you know, when Jupiter's in the second house and you've sacrificed a virgin, you get a slightly higher drop chance on a bag that will probably not drop for you. So you'll wind up paying some dude in trade chat like 500k to trade you the bag.
yeah, no,
Oh, well, thank you.
completely half-assed. You know, Again, I'm not a fan of the shit anyway, but for people that are, they gotta be disciplined.
Yeah, fun and fucking intuitive
It,
gameplay.
I
Thanks,
mean,
Blizzard.
it sucks for people who were looking forward to it. It really does, in
I
my opinion.
was, but like
So
I'm not happy with what they've done with Diablo 4. I don't think like just from things that I've read, things that I've seen, what have you. But even that aside, I was still looking forward to the launch event. I was like, okay,
yeah.
they've got to do something cool.
Well,
And
I thought we were getting an XP buff too. Is that only in classic? Is that what
I
happened to
don't
it?
fucking know.
Like
I do know that when I first heard about this event, I thought this was going to be awesome. I
I
was
was
like, shit, you're going to have, you know, random treasure goblins appearing, and we're going to kill them, and they're going to drop really cool loot, and then we get this garbage.
Pull it back up here and see. I'm going to log on to a lower character and see if there's a buff or not. Because I thought there was supposed to be an XP buff, but I think what I've read is it's only on Classic. I was hoping to maybe finish leveling up a couple of a few alts with this event. it,
Yeah.
it didn't happen
I
because
don't
I
know.
was kind of excited for the XP buff just to finish up my alts that I like to have up to 70. So yeah, but yeah, crazy, disappointing. I'm disappointed with that.
Yeah, they sure as fuck know how to make me angry and disappoint me at the same time.
Oh yeah, they're good at that. Let's see, is there?
I feel like every time they try and say something, like they're pretending to be my wife, they lie to me.
Jesus Christ.
With a smile on their fucking face.
Yeah, nope. Just because, yep. There's no XP buff. I've got a bunch of shit on my mage here from where I've leveled my character. My max, my main's
Yeah.
high. I get 100% rep gains and stuff like that for everything, but just and then you get 50% cataclysm reputation gain because it's cataclysm time walking this week. So yep, nothing. I'm disappointed.
That's always irritated me too, because it's like you get plus 50% rep from combat and quests.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, by the way, we're gonna make it viable for you to purchase these rep tokens, but then we're not gonna make them work with the buff that you. Come on.
Yeah. No.
Get
It's
your head out your ass, Blizzard.
no. Remember in Shadowlands when they nerfed the buff for doing time walking,
Yeah.
and God, I just come on. What's it hurting for people to get all that experience? Like, is it hurting anything really? No. Like, I mean, come on. Not a fan.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take us off on a tangent. It's just,
Oh no, I'm with you.
you know me, I get hot under the collar about this shit.
But I did have some big news that happened last week. I mentioned it last week that I was going to get a one-on-one session with Azor.
Yeah, tell me about how that went. That
Probably
seemed really cool.
for those that don't know, I can't pronounce his name as good as you can.
I think it's just Azortharion.
Azorothian, something like that. Anyway. I affectionately know him as Azor. I'll call him Azor because that I can say. Um, but yeah, other than my headset screwing up, it turned out to be. I can still hear him. He sounded like a staticky mess, but that turned out to be my fault, which pissed me off. But I learned a lot. Um, the main things he taught me was more about how to read my logs and how to. While WoW Analyzer hasn't been updated a lot,
Yeah.
it's still a very useful tool as far as monitoring, your rotation of when you should have hit this and, what you should have hit and what you ended up hitting, stuff like that. Very, very informative. I've got a lot to work on still, obviously. But I'm excited to have that insight for what I had. He confirmed kind of what we were talking about with kill shot, with the prioritization of kill shot over everything but aim shot,
Yeah.
and the only time that you would prioritize aim shot over kill shot is if you have 2 charges of aim shot. Any other time you're going to only hit kill shot.
Well, that's only with the new tier set, though, right?
No, that's anytime, with or without the new tier set. Just because the average, it averages out by the time you throw in cast time and things like that. Kill shot does just a tiny little bit more damage than aim shot, just by the time you count it, focus cost and cast time.
I mean, with that being the case,
Yeah.
that okay, assuming that's the case, and that is an assumption for me, then what you would actually want to do is you would want to be hitting kill shot at the tail end of your aim shot before aim shot has actually gone off, because the way spell queuing works is you can actually queue it uh, about 0.25 ish, seconds
Yeah,
before
you
aim shot actually goes off.
yeah, you
And
definitely want to
and
weave it in
it
there as soon as you can. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah, well, it's better for your flow, it's better for the global cooldown, and just the way it winds up working out, I believe, is probably going to be an increase. Um, I I feel like that's probably a better hard priority for me. But
yeah.
maybe on paper it doesn't work out that way. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
you know how it
it
is. It's,
I still top you sometimes, so what can I say?
well, I mean, like I said, I've still got a lot to learn too. So I'm not nothing against you or whatever. I know I've got a lot to improve on, and I'm working on it. And I'm only going to get better here in the next couple of days now that I can get some time in to focus on things. I've had a busy week. I had my niece's birthday and stuff like that last week, so that took a lot of my free time that I would
Well,
normally have.
well,
So,
you do kick some serious ass. So,
uh,
um,
I do appreciate
like, if you have anything to learn, most of it's going to be like very minute things, because um,
it.
the things that go between being a good hunter, a great hunter, and just like a true master are very small.
Yes,
But that's the way it always is. It's very small but impactful.
yes. I consider myself a good hunter. I do not consider myself a great hunter, and I'm definitely not a master hunter. But I'm definitely not shit poor like you see a lot of people out there. No offense to anybody out there. It's just goddamn. I know I'm not ass. Um, but yeah, let me get my. Where the fuck are my notes? Not prepared for this. I don't know what I did with my notes. So anyway, because I don't know what I did with my notes. But yeah, I took notes. But yeah, the main thing that he taught me was just how to read WoW Analyzer. The best times to read it to see what you're doing wrong with an entire encounter. Like,
Yeah,
because it will tell you like you hit this when you should have been hitting this. I definitely need to get something that kind of alerts me when I get a true shot proc, because that can be an annoying thing that happens when you get a random true shot proc and you're not prepared for it, and you
yeah,
don't realize it until like, oh shit, I got true shot up, and half of it's already expired by the time you realize you got a true shot proc. Uh,
yeah. I run 2 weak Rs for that, so I
so
understand.
see, I don't. That's my thing. I've always tried to run it with a minimum amount of weak auras, and I think that's part of my detriment is that I'm not using enough weak auras.
It's
Um,
not necessarily to your detriment. A lot of players get this idea that what they need is they need just a tremendous amount of add-ons and weak Rs in order to
well, I need
perform.
something that's going to pop up in my face and say, "Hey,
Yeah,
you should be doing this," and you're not.
and that's the way I
That's
usually go. Like, I know people that run rotation helpers that literally it's like it tells them exactly what to push. I I don't feel like most people need that. I feel like
yeah,
Blizzard has designed their game poorly in some ways, in that it's difficult to know when certain things happen. And who's fucking surprised by that? They like obfuscating everything, but it's difficult to know when certain things happen. And what helps a lot of players out isn't necessarily like overhauling anything or getting a bunch of add-ons, a bunch of weak Rs. It's more about, hey, look, if I had this knowledge that XYZ was happening, I know what to do about that, but I don't have that knowledge. So I feel like That's what a lot of the best weak auras and the best add-ons tell you. They tell you, hey, look, I got the true shot proc. It's like, okay, well, I know what to do with that.
Yep.
But if you don't have that, if you don't have the weak aura or the add-on that's going to tell you that, the only ways that you're going to know that is um, if you're looking at your fucking bar going, shit, the cooldown suddenly going faster, or if you're looking up at your buffs going, oh, look, I have True Shot up for some reason. So that's what most people need, and that goes for any class.
Yeah.
You need something that tells you, hey, look, the mechanic is happening. Because
That's
Blizzard
yeah.
doesn't
That's what I
fucking want
need.
to tell you shit.
Yeah. That's what I need. Like I needed a frenzy tracker when I play BM, and I need a true shot thing for MM. I really do.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's all I really need. But I could use something that just kind of puts my abilities in my face. It's like says, "Hey, this is what you should be, what you should be pumping on and stuff like that." Just try to take into consideration for all that stuff.
Now, did you and he talk at all about BM or
Not
about
really.
survival?
No, no. He's more of the survival guy, but he does do a lot of MM too. I'm,
Okay.
I told him, of course, had that conversation about how BM's ass right now. That was a quick little thing. How, for rating, BM is not good. Fortified weeks on Mythic Plus BM is up there. Um, it's not good. The single target on BM. How that switched from season to season is absolutely amazing.
It is, yeah.
Just trying to. I mean, God, I'm.
Now, I will say, like, if you're good at BM, you're still going to be good.
Yeah,
Like, but what's really telling is when people that were not that great at BM suddenly switch. And it's the same thing like when people switch to marksman, and it's like all of a sudden you have all these marksman hunters that aren't doing all that great, and it's because they don't actually know what they're doing, but they're still doing better than what they were before. Um, I feel like a lot of that is it's still down to the player. If you're good at what you're doing, it doesn't matter if the class is under tune, you're still going to perform. And Tick's a perfect example of that.
yeah.
He's still kicking ass.
He takes a freaking nature though.
Well, yeah,
And
you're not
he
wrong there.
works his ass off at it too. He's not just somebody who
Yeah,
pops in every now and then and does whatever. I mean, he's always running keys and shit like that. He's just a busy guy. Uh, but yeah, but BM's rough and raid for the most part. Um, Trying to think of anything
I,
else major that we talked about. It wasn't really a whole lot that I didn't already, have an understanding of. It's just more or less a lot of fine tuning I need to do in order to maybe start mastering this a little better.
yeah,
Um, and I just need to practice. Definitely pointed out a lot of times where I would panic and I would worry more about mechanics and not be hitting anything when I should. One of his big things that he preached on was to always be casting something. Like
oh yeah,
even if you're running around, you should at least be casting steady shot or
yeah.
arcane all the time. Um, that it's worse to not be casting anything. He
That's
pointed out a few times where I would probably panic in mechanics and just not focus on hitting anything.
yeah,
So that.
and that's understandable too.
Mhm.
But that's also something that a lot of new marksman hunters have difficulties with. Like I was looking at our token BM hunter, who's just a lifetime BM hunter.
Yeah.
She recently she recently went marksman. It's that bad. She finally said, "All right, I guess I'm gonna go try marksman," and I tried helping her with that. And
Yep.
honestly, she's not doing poorly.
No.
You know, she's performing the way she should. Her biggest issue is learning how to move.
Yep.
And with a class like marksman, that does have most of its damage pressed up into casts, you have to learn how to get those out and then move in between. And there's still other things that you need to be casting. We've got a lot of insta-cast stuff. We've got
Yep.
some channeled things. You know, there are other things that you could be doing, and that's the case with any kind of class. That is 9 times out of 10 what I would say most players have difficulty with when I look at their logs. When I look at logs for anybody in our guild, if they're underperforming 9 times out of 10, it's because well look, I compared you with this other guy, and guess what? They cast 20 times the amount that you did.
Yep. And that's one of my big things that I got from it, and just I need to get my muscle memory down. That's the biggest thing I haven't done in the longest time, especially with the Mark's changes. Is I don't have my muscle memory down for my abilities.
Well, does it help you to go sit there in front of like target dummies?
It does, and I just haven't took the time to do that yet. That's one of the things I want to work on when I get more time. It's just to sit there in front of the target dummy and practice my rotation and get that muscle memory down. And that way, when I am moving and I am focused on mechanics, my fingers are still doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, it works for me. I know it don't work for everybody, but, that's what works for me.
Yeah, I wish that worked for me. Do the whole Mr. Miyagi wax on wax off thing, but for whatever reason, that's never helped me much. So I always find it interesting, like what helps different people. What helps me is just knowing what's happening, and then if I know what's going on, then I can deal with it. If I don't, I'm fucked.
Yep. But yeah, that was the vast majority of it was just breaking down some encounters and stuff. He was going to help me with Mythic Plus, and then but I don't have any logs for Mythic Plus, and that's my own fault because I don't log myself. That's one of the other things I've got to get set up this week to where I'm automatically logging my Mythic Plus and stuff too. And that way I can learn that better because I do know, like I said, I panic. I panic when it comes to Mythic Plus. I panic when it comes to raid mechanics.
Yeah, Mythic Plus, the hardest thing is it's the same thing. Doing mechanics, make sure you're interrupting, make sure you're tranking stuff off. But the hardest thing for every class outside of doing those mechanics is knowing when you can pop your cooldowns, because you want to use them throughout the fucking dungeon.
Yeah.
And I know people that they will not touch a single fucking cooldown until the boss, and that's wrong.
Yep.
And I do that myself when I'm really unfamiliar with the dungeon, or we're running at a pace that I'm not familiar with.
It's learning. Like my first couple times in Lotharius, for example, I remember I would pop True Shot right after the first boss, after we did the mammoth or whatever. And then I didn't have True Shot up for the second boss because we got to the second boss so quick. And higher keys, it's less of an issue because you're taking more time on trash. But yeah, that's little things I'm learning: when to hit True Shot, when not to hit True Shot, and in keys. But we didn't really talk a whole lot of that because I didn't have any logs for him to go over for Mythic Plus. But I definitely, I don't have his gear, but he showed me some of his, and I'm definitely not up there to what he's doing on Mythic Plus. But he's 5 out of 8 Mythic at the moment. So there's a bit of difference on the gear level there too.
Well, Little
And
bit,
he
little bit.
he pointed that out too. It's like, he told me pretty much, that I'm doing good, but there's a lot to improve on, and if I want to get to that next level, you know, definitely need to get my rotation, the muscle memory down to where I'm not, even when I am panicking, I'm hitting the right button. Um, you know, that's probably the biggest thing I've got to get down. Um, but yeah, very educational. One of the cool things is too is that I have open DMs with him. So if I do have a question, stuff like that, I can send him questions and stuff, um,
Cool.
which is a cool thing to have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was pretty much the gist of it. Just, definitely fascinating. If you want to learn more, there's tools out there. There's resources that are available for about anybody of any class. If you want to get better, it's there. Um, it always does help to have somebody else's perspective. To me, at least, that coaching to me is invaluable.
Oh yeah. I,
So.
no doubt.
But yeah, and pretty much it. You got any more to add on that?
No, I mean, it sounds like it was a really exciting experience for you.
It was. It was. I enjoyed it.
And
I may do it again later on, just to, that
keep
that way
picking the
that.
brain.
Well, yeah. If I, not just to get more questions, but after I get some Mythic Plus logs in and stuff like that, I may do it again to get him to get his insight on that stuff like that too. So.
I'm always excited to see people do this too, because so many players will turn to me and say, "Well, yeah, but I don't have the gear." No, no, you're wrong. If you're a good player, you can perform to a certain standard, and then after you're already performing to a certain standard, little jumps in gear will take you much further than you think. It's
Yeah.
almost never the gear, it's almost always the player. There are some weird, fringe cases. Oh, well, you didn't have your four piece, and for whatever reason, the four piece was stupid and impactful this time, and that happens. But
Yes.
like, the number of players out there that will tell you with a straight fucking face, it's just my gear. It's like, no.
No.
Statistically, you're wrong. So it always makes me so happy when someone, and this time it just happened to be you, said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go talk to somebody about that. I'm going to figure something out because I know that my skill could be better. And they took it to a skill level before they said, hey, look, it's just my gear, fucking Blizzard.
Yeah. Fuck
If
Blizzard.
only I had better gear. Don't get me wrong. I give Blizzard the ass into things all the fucking time about all sorts of shit, particularly their RNG system.
Well, and
But
don't
like,
get me
the
wrong
players
either.
got some
Better
responsibility.
gear would help.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't get
Better
me
gear
wrong with
helps,
it, but
but always go into that skill point of view first. Going, hey, look, is there something I could be doing better?
well, yeah. I mean, I know that.
I'm always excited to see that.
Because I've been there too. In Wrath, I played pretty hardcore in Wrath, so I know what it takes to reach that skill level. I
Yeah.
know. I mean, I was literally 18 hours a day when new content come out, pushing hard. I mean, it sucked ass. I burnt myself out so quick. I
Oh yeah,
didn't
I remember that.
because I went through. I was with a hardcore guild through Trial of the Crusader, and I burnt myself out by the end of that. When we finally cleared it on heroic, I was like, okay, I'm done, and I literally didn't come back until like halfway through ICC. Like
Oh, I bet.
I was done. I literally burnt myself out, and I didn't raid with them again either because I was just so. I was like, I burnt myself out. I'm just going to go casual. I want to clear it on heroic eventually, but but I wasn't. I killed myself to that point, to where it
Yeah.
wasn't fun. I kind of want to get back there again, but at the same point in time, you know, I don't want to. I don't want to burn myself out. So, but I want to be better, and I think what we're doing's close to what I'm interested in. I want to push a little bit harder, but not much harder. Um, you know, yeah, it's definitely a lot to learn, definitely a lot to dive into. Hopefully, I'll have more in a few weeks, as far as what I
Yeah.
figured out and stuff. Speaking of figuring stuff out, John. There we go. I called you John Misek. Um, tell people what they can do with their profession. Let's get
Oh man.
people let's get people some gold.
I've got a lot to say on professions this week. Uh, First thing I really want to talk about is what what kind of theories have panned out as far as what was going to make money in 10.1, and what hasn't panned out as well as we thought. Uh, and that's something that I'm sure has been weighing on a lot of people's minds because a lot of people invested heavily in a variety of things. I know it's definitely been big for me. Um, but uh, one thing that hasn't panned out as much as I was hoping was the Dracathist. You know, there's no accounting for the market. There really isn't. I still feel like it's gonna. I still feel like it's gonna pop back up, but the pops that are happening are smaller, and sometimes they're at the beginning of the week, which makes sense, particularly if it's a spark week. Sometimes they're near the end of a week, which is baffling to me because that's almost never something that happens. It's almost always the beginning of the week that this kind of thing happens. But with the Dracathis, that's not been the case. It's been kind of off and on. Um, what I would what I would probably do if you're still making them, keep
Mm-hmm.
it up. We're actually back to a point where you can make one and without a proc of anything, generally you're still going to make money. If you bought a bunch, next time you see it's up, sell. I would. Um, is it going to go further up and stay further up? Maybe, but I don't know that it's going to stay further up. Most people are going to make money, assuming they bought to invest or something like that. Now, myself, I'm still sitting on probably close to 400 of the motherfuckers, and I will have to piece them out, little at a time. And I think when all things are said and done, I'll probably break even on
Yeah. I made a little bit off the drums this week. Not a whole lot, because there were, that was one of those things where I learned the hard way. People can make a bunch of them themselves, and so the
that. Oh
market
yeah.
was flooded.
Well,
Um,
and that's why I told you at the
yeah,
beginning, don't buy them all and flip them
yeah,
because
no, yeah, and I'm
it's
glad
not a
I
good
didn't.
plan.
I'm
It's
glad I
never a
listened
good
to
plan.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I told that to Garrett. He did not listen to me. He still made money, but like he also bought a bunch.
Fucking Garrett.
He was gonna buy a bunch of shuffles and try and resell them. That was
Yeah.
the week before this one. Um,
I wish I would have.
Anytime
I
you
wish I
think you're
would have
gonna,
sold the drums earlier and
yeah.
got in on that higher price earlier. Because I
Well,
waited
the thing
around and
is, like
it kept
if
going
you
down.
try and sell early, um, one of two things can happen. Either they're gonna push the price down so much that
That
it's
was the
not
big
gonna go
thing.
back up, and that's gonna depend. Like drums, drums craft fast.
The
Um,
multi-craft procs are nuts.
the multi-craft and resource procs are nuts, and the new recipe for them with the lustrous scales makes them really fucking cheap.
Yep.
And you didn't really need a whole lot of them. You only needed 10.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that was the
So
other
so
thing
that
too. So
yeah,
yeah.
that all makes a difference right
They're
there.
easy to make. You only needed 10. a bunch of people were prepared for it to pop up. Obviously.
Yeah. Now, like for example, when the inscription happens, I feel like that would probably be a better test for what you're thinking of doing. Like
Hmm.
if you were going to buy and
Yeah.
resell, but even that, there's too much risk doing that.
Yeah, I do that.
It,
Like people
it's one
on
thing if you
Moonguard
buy
found out with
something.
the Fisher friends this week.
Oh yeah. Uh, y- well, you know what? Fuck them. I don't know what else to say there. You know, that was my particular adventure this week. Was I knew that I knew the drums was coming. I had prepared big time for that. I definitely made a lot of gold. And then the Fisher friends, I didn't expect them to do that again. At least not immediately. I expected them to because we still haven't seen the enchanting or the inscription yet. So I didn't expect them to throw Fisher friends back at us because that was week 1. And they did. So when they did that, that threw me for a loop. So after they did that, I put a bunch of Fisher friends up for 1,500, and in the span of about 10 seconds, someone undercut me to 1,300. And as I was posting for 1,300, someone undercut me to like 900. And as I was posting for 900, someone undercut me to 600, and so on and so forth. In the span of 2 minutes, it went from 1,500 to like 200 gold. And I said, you know what? Clearly, you guys don't care about making money. It's one thing, like, I don't mind other people making money too. Like, I will post and repost all day, and if you're not dropping the price,
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you're
we're
doing
good.
here is
It's
you're helping people
irritating, but,
make
but we're
money.
good.
You're
Yeah.
trying to help people make money. You're not against other people making money. You're against
No.
other people being dicks.
Yeah. And the engineers of Moonguard decided to be dicks. So I dropped the price to 120 gold. And I still made plenty of money. And
Hmm.
I'm still making plenty of money. I can
Somebody bought them
guarantee you
all out
almost
too,
no
right?
one else. Oh yeah, one guy actually he made the same mistake our buddy Garrett tried almost made. The same one that you were
Fucking
thinking of
Garrett.
making. And he bought me out on Fisher Friends and relisted at about 700 gold. And this happened actually 2 or 3 times. Not with the same guy either. And every
Hmm.
time it happened, I just make more and stick them up there for 120. So a lot of people spend a lot of gold buying my shit to try and resell it higher. It's like that doesn't work if someone just puts it right back up for the same price. It just doesn't. And because I buy materials in bulk, um, at times when you're not buying materials necessarily, like months before, I can do that, and I'm probably gonna be fucking fine. Bare minimum, I will break even, and you know, um, I've got no problem breaking even, making a little gold instead of a lot of gold, or even losing money if it gets you to stop being a dick to me.
Yes. Yes. Ah, I don't
But
know.
that was kind of this week's thing.
Adventure
Now,
and yeah.
when it comes
You
to the
said
new
you
recipes,
had some tips for people that's wanting to start new professions and stuff like that,
well,
or
I definitely do.
getting into it.
Um, but real quick, we were talking about the new recipes too.
Yes. Yeah.
Some of these things are making big money,
I'm
and some of them just haven't panned out.
I'm making good money off of the arm guards. I've
Oh
been
yeah,
making
Dracathist arm guards have been big,
yes.
and I've seen you making money. Armor patches have been big, though people are still paying premiums for the rank 3 armor patches, not realizing that the rank 2 does the exact same job.
Yeah.
Save yourself 20 fucking thousand gold, please. Buy the rank 2. And I'm hurting my own business here because I just bought the fucking ability to make armor patches, and I can make rank 3s at a guaranteed rate. I spent a lot of gold being able to do this, so I'm going to scam some fucking people by putting them up. But I always tell people when I'm crafting their gear and they have an armor patch, I always pull them aside first to say, hey, look, you could resell this if you want and buy a rank 2, and save yourself a lot of fucking gold. A lot of fucking gold. Because it doesn't actually change the effect.
Yeah, same
It
effect.
changes. Yeah, it changes the difficulty in crafting by 5 skill. And let me tell you something. 5 skill is nothing. 5 skill is probably not going to take you from a guaranteed craft, which you're going to pay a premium for to begin with. And so either you're paying a premium for the guaranteed craft and a premium on the armor patch, or you're going to pay, for an inspiration craft, which is far more likely if you're doing high level crafting anyway. And okay, so
Yep.
maybe you have to recraft a couple times. You make that up by not spending 30 40k on a fucking armor patch.
Well, I'm looking at them on Moonguard right now. The Toxified Armor Patch, which I'm using with my boots, a rank 3 is 5,500 gold. A rank 2 is 400 gold.
Exactly.
A Shadow Flamed Armor Patch, rank 3, is 18,500 at the moment.
Yeah.
A rank 2 is just under 10k.
Exactly.
And they do the exact same thing other than recipe difficult.
Exactly. And we're not talking small savings here.
No.
That's a big saving.
Thousands of gold. Thousands of gold.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like me and you're going to be redoing gear over and over again for max effect too.
Yeah.
It's, that's a lot of stuff.
Like I said, I'm hurting my own business fucking telling you this. I just assume, damn near nobody fucking listens to this anyways. And when they do, like, they're going to hear about it too late. There are a lot of people that I tell that still refuse to do it. They're like, well, I've already bought this. And it's like, okay, but you could resell it and get your money back.
Right.
But it's like, I don't care. I just want you guys to know that if you are listening, use the fucking rank 2s. It makes more sense. You're going to save yourself a lot of fucking gold.
Yep. And also get a better chance at that rank 5 prop too.
Yeah.
Just it's.
Now,
that can be a difference between rank 4 and rank 5 for some people. It is for me. I know on the arm guards, I think I'm 6 skill points shy of guaranteeing rank 5s on 437s.
Yeah.
Without an insight. Yeah,
no.
And that just tells you, like, okay, if you're using, just a little bit of difference there, could be the difference between rank 4 and rank 5. It's that close sometimes on a piece of gear.
It is, and you know what? Sometimes it makes sense. Okay, but it's like, when all your other materials cost you like 1,000 gold or 500 gold to actually make the fucking thing, then it's not going to make a difference when you're recrafting.
Yep.
It's like, okay, yeah, go for the fucking inspiration craft. It doesn't matter. On the Dracathist arm guards, on the other hand, where every single one's going to take a Cobra skin and a Dracathist, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just a Cobra skin?
Cobra skin and a Dracathist.
Yeah, so every
on top of the Earthshine scales, which are not cheap either.
Yeah, so sometimes it makes sense.
I'll put it up for people to see.
Pay a premium to say, no, look, yeah. I will pay you, like I was going to pay you, 5k or 8k, something like that, and I will pay you 10k more so that we don't have to recraft this bullshit.
Yep.
But with the armor patch, it just, the over-under on that is just that it doesn't make sense. Because anything you're going to put it on is going to cost significantly less.
Yeah, for those arm guards, you've got a Cobra skin that goes for 12k. You've got a Dracathist, which is a little over 4k at the moment, and then you've got the Earthshrine scales, which are, they're a few hundred gold a piece. Even the cheaper ones are not, So, I mean, you're looking at, almost 20k about it to craft. Like, the rank 2s are really cheap, but to get the rank 3s are 330 gold for the scales, which do make a difference. I do recommend, if you're getting them crafted, to get the rank 3s. Just because it's that close of a difference. but you need 10 of those, so that's another 300 and 3,300 gold right there on top. So you're
Yeah,
looking at almost 20k to craft to get bracers crafted at the moment, just in
yeah,
materials.
absolutely.
So
Then the other new recipes, like it's all been
excuse me.
hit or miss. You know, I expected a lot more people to want the enchanting wand because it is such a good wand. It really is. And I have seen a few healers go for it. The spore cloak.
Yep.
I didn't expect as many people wanting that, and I've seen a whole lot of people that want it. Both healers, tanks, PvPers. You know, it's just a big survivability upgrade. The new two-hander, where it has an on-use effect that does a bunch of shadow flame damage. I expected that to probably go for big money. I expect a lot of people want that. Nobody wants it.
Huh.
I have found one guy the entire fucking time that has wanted it, and it would be such a good craft too, because it's like I can guarantee crafts on it, and I would be able to resource off you know the new Shadow Flame alloys and up to 2 Cobra skins, like
Yeah.
ridiculous. But the thing is, like it's ridiculously expensive, and most people are just like, you know what? It also conflicts with your best in slot weapon, which is the fucking sword from the raid, and most people uh like even if they want to get a weapon crafted, they don't want to get that one crafted. They'll get another two-hander crafted with a fangs patch on it or something like that. So maybe it doesn't even make sense on paper. Um, I don't know if it makes sense on paper or not. But I expected that one to do much better than it did. Um, the enchanting the new enchanting recipe is done fairly well. It's hamstrung a little bit by the fact that you can't uh, you can't multi-craft enchants.
Mhm.
The new alloy and the belt buckles, um, those have been kind of painful, you know, because once again they are hamstrung so much by price with the Shadow Flame Crest, and then if you don't get the right multi-craft procs and resource procs, you just flat out don't make money, and that's a big disappointment for me and for a lot of other people. And the fact that so many, honestly, a lot of this stuff has been big for the Evoker Legendary. I would venture to say that a lot of the Shadow Flame stuff, um, a lot of the Dracathus have been used more in that than anything else, which is a real surprise to me. I expected far more crests. The 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 uh, the enchanted crests. I I I almost can't get orders for them. And it's not that they're not going out. You know, some people just type faster than me. But when I do get orders for them, sometimes I'll get a good tip. Usually it's like, great. You know, I just took up 5-10 minutes of your time for 500 gold.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, but that's not necessarily worth it. And ironically, this is something that if people just dropped on the fucking crafting board, people would be able to take care of it. Like there are so many fucking crafters that have these recipes. There is no reason that that has to be this way. Um, so things have definitely they've gone differently than anticipated. In some ways, good ways. Other ways, not as good. Um, Something I've been hearing a lot lately from a lot of people. I've actually been reading it in. I've heard it from guildies. I've heard it in comments on like WoW economy subreddits. I've seen it on WoWhead and stuff like that. There are a lot of people that just don't think that they can make money in the economy now.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they feel like, especially if they came in late,
I felt
they
the
got a
same
little.
way initially until you talked me into it. Because
Yeah.
I felt like that I was so far behind in leatherworking that I couldn't make money.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always catch up. But before we get into catching up, let's assume that you're not going to catch up, because if you want to be honest about it, catching up should not be the way that you look at this. Every single profession is front loaded in knowledge points. All
Yep.
right. So there are a bunch of knowledge points out there that are one-time treasures. You get knowledge points for every craft. You get knowledge points for treatises.
Yep.
There are a bunch of knowledge points that you can get weekly. I highly recommend Tama's Dragonflight Helper as a weak aura to track both your weekly and your one-time treasure knowledge points. It will tell you where they are and how to fucking get them. Big
Yep.
help, right?
Yep.
So you can start a profession right now, okay? And in the span of a couple hours, you could have probably close to a couple hundred points in it. More if you also happen to have had alts or mains or whatever that have mastered, the rep for the Artisans Consortium, or other renowns. That's all big, and I wouldn't ignore it. But like even outside of that, you're looking at close to a couple hundred points, and
Yeah.
a couple hundred points goes a long fucking way.
Goes a long way. Yeah.
So the first thing you got to know is that basically every crafting profession has something that you will be able to make money in for a couple hundred points. What you've got to do is you've got to research different ways to make money. Okay, and I'm going to talk about a few of them. Okay, I'm only going to mention one of the professions, and it's the one that I recommend to so many people because it is so fucking easy, and that's tailoring.
Tailoring. Yep.
Now you can do this with any profession. You can make money with cooking if you want to. You can make money with leatherworking, jewel crafting.
You name it, there's something to make gold in.
Everything has something like this.
Yes.
It may not be this exactly, but it has something like this. And if you pay attention, you take a little work, you'll be able to find things like this. But just looking at tailoring right now, you can. So let's assume no knowledge points. No knowledge points at all. Make green bags.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's it. Make green fucking bags.
Made a good amount of gold doing that.
Easy. If I half-ass it all week and just make bags and list them when I log into my character, and I do that multiple times a day, literally a 2-minute process. You log in, you go click a button, get up, get a coffee, come back, you go to the auction house, you press a button, list all. Doing that half-assed and every so often doing it, I've made 50 to 100K a week in green bags, and those are just the Wilder cloth bags. Yep. And the Simply Stitched reagent bags. It's big money, and that's buying the shit off the auction house.
Yep.
The actual price of ingredients to craft this stuff is dirt cheap, and the price of the bags, and this is going to vary a little bit by your server. I am positive on that. But for example, anytime I craft a bag, right now on Moonguard, I'm selling it for about 45, 50 gold, and I'm making close to 40 gold profit on it. 40 gold, one bag. And I know people sit there and they think, okay, that's 40 gold. That's not a whole lot of gold. You're right, it's not, but it's a lot of profit. So when you put up, 100 bags every couple hours, and most of them sell, okay, and you get that kind of return, it adds up really fucking quick. So green bags would be the first thing. That takes no point investment. I think you have to be, I think your tailoring has to reach like 40 or 50 points to get both bag recipes.
Something
And I
like
would
that, yeah.
recommend, I would recommend maybe a 4 to 5 ratio, 4 to 5 to 1 ratio. So vast majority of the bags you make are going to be the wilder cloth bags. Then a very small amount of the bags will be the reagent bags. And reason being, people need at least 4 of the wilder cloth, only 1 reagent bag.
Yep.
Dirt cheap, huge market, all the time. Big money. Now, let's say that you're willing to fly around and grab some fucking treasures. You get some points in for doing oh, what the hell is it? Your first time crafts and that kind of thing. You can still make a crap ton of gold doing something else. Now, this is something I like to do while I watch YouTube, when my head's hurting and I've just got to put my head down for a while. I can just fucking press a button, when I'm watching Netflix, whatever it is that you want to do. You could do this in between fucking dungeon queues if you want. I know people that make plenty of gold doing it that way. So what I would do is I would put 30 points into textiles, and then one of the textiles knowledge nodes is spinning. Max that out. That's another 30 points. That's 60 points. If you did only that, you'd be making money with what I'm about to tell you. But let's assume that you want to go just a little bit further. I start into the tailoring mastery, and then get into spare sewing. I would max out spare sewing. Spare sewing gives you the extra resourcefulness bonus, meaning that you're saving more with each time resourcefulness procs, and it gives you more resourcefulness for it to proc. Then I'd go back and I'd probably max out tailoring mastery too, just for the extra tailoring speed to make it a little faster. But you don't even have to do that part. Just max out your resourcefulness. Get yourself a nice resourcefulness tool. You could probably get somebody to make it for you, a few thousand gold, something like that. You go even cheaper. Get a fucking green tool with resourcefulness and a rank 2 green resourcefulness enchant put on it, and green accessories. Doesn't matter. You're going to be making money with this. So what you do is, once you've maxed out spinning, you can go to the auction house and buy one of 2 things. Now, one of them is just always going to make money, regardless, and that is tattered wilder cloth.
Yep.
Tattered wilder cloth. Now you may think, oh well, tattered wilder cloth, that's extremely cheap. Yes, which means you can buy it in bulk.
Buy a lot of it in bulk.
Now, anytime that you use unraveling on tattered wilder cloth, which should be fairly quick, and you're going to be saving some of it, which means that you actually have more of it that you don't know about yet. You will be getting the spools of wilder cloth, and at the point usage that I have described, you should be able to get it at rank 2 or rank 3 even. And at that point, you can sell each one of those spools for 1 to 1.5 gold. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, does it? Especially considering you're talking about unraveling thousands of these things. It adds up.
God, it adds up.
You're talking about 50% profit off the top, minimum. Because you're looking at this, the tattered wilder cloth usually sells, and this is a server side, not a server side market. This is a region wide market.
Yeah.
So you usually have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these fucking things up, and I've seen them go as low as 10 gold per. I mean, not 10 gold, 10 silver per.
Oh, I
Five of
bought I bought a ton at 6 silver, months back. Like, I mean, they're
That's true. Sometimes it goes. Sometimes it goes pretty stupid cheap.
just that was literally just above what they've been for. So
It takes
that's
5
incredible.
to unravel,
Mm-hmm.
and assuming that you unravel, you have a chance to get between 1 and I think it's 4, maybe it's 5 spools from unraveling 5. These things go from a gold to a gold and a half each.
Yep.
Literally, you're, you're literally creating wealth here. Press the button, walk away. Come back, press the button, walk away. If you really want to get into it, you can use a file of quick hams, and that will make it go so much faster. You don't even have to do that if you don't want to do it, but if you do, if you're real serious about it, you can do that. You'll still be making money. You know, watch yourself some Netflix, watch YouTube, do your fucking homework. Just occasionally click the fucking button,
Yep.
making money all day long. Now, uh, let's say you want to go a little more because you've maxed spinning. You can go with the elemental cloth. Now, I don't usually recommend the singed or decayed wilder cloth. Those usually aren't worth it.
All about the
What
frost,
usually
baby.
what usually is worth it is the frostbitten wilder cloth.
All about the frost.
Yes. 9 times out of 10, you are going to make money on that. And what I usually do is I usually assume that 5 will get me 2 rousing frost. Does it always happen that way? No, not always. In fact, I usually come out on top, and then there's resourcefulness and stuff like that. But because I can assume that I'm going to be getting more out of it, if I assume that I'm going to get at least 2 frost per 5 cloth, and it comes out close to either what rousing frost or 10 rousing frost, which would be a awakened frost. If it comes close to that, I know I'm making money.
Yep.
Big bonus if you have a use for rousing frost or awakened frost, because you can save yourself a lot of money and do this, and your professions feed into each other and what have you. But all that aside, I literally every week go through 100 to 300,000 of these fucking things, and I unravel it all. And
Me.
then by the end of it, I have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of rousing frost. And whether or not I use them or sell them as rousing frost or sell them as awakened frost, which means that I make a macro and just sit there hitting a button for a while I watch YouTube or something until it turns into that. That depends on the market. You still have to watch the market. You still have to watch the market and go, okay, which one's making more gold. You still may actually have to stop and think, all right, do I want to turn this into something else to get that added value out of it? Those are all very valid things, but if you were just selling that, you're probably going to make money. And then you get more spools on top of it. You're done.
Yep.
That's money. Almost no point investment. So right there, you can already see with very minimal point investment, you can start making gold in this economy. You just have to know what you're going to put it in. And that's where a lot of people have failed so far in this expansion, is they don't, when they're thinking about what they want to put it in, they're seeing people in trade making, tens of thousands of gold on different craft orders. want to sell, you know, Spore Cloak, 25,000 gold. And people think, oh man, see, what I need to do is I need to get real good at garment crafting. That's going to take a lot. You know what you know what it's really going to take for you to be that good at that? You're going to need to max garment crafting and then outerwear. So right there, that's 65 points. Then cloaks. And then if you really want to make your money, which of course, who the fuck doesn't, you're also going to need to max textiles. You're probably going to want to max draconic needlework. You're going to want to max tailoring mastery, shrewd stitchery, and spare sewing. That's a bigger point investment. And honestly, if you gave it 2 or 3 weeks, you're there. Brand new tailor. You could do that, and you could make money. But you don't have to. So now that we've talked about like that there are easy ways to make money there, where do you go from there? Well, where you go from there is I would start doing things like that afterwards. I would go into garment crafting. People try and be good at everything. Don't try and be good at everything. You can do that later, because at some point you will max your knowledge on these things. I've got multiple professions that I'm literally about to cap knowledge on. We are only a little ways into season 2.
Yeah.
It's gonna come. Don't worry about it. Just get your knowledge points every week, and don't think about that. But where you want to put your points does matter, because you're not going to max it right away. So what you need to do is you need to think about where the market's at. So let's say you're spinning. Let's say you also picked up weaving, so you're making bolts. You're making bags all the time, and you really want to pick up some of those juicy craft orders. But you don't have all the points for it. Maybe you've got a little extra, and you just want something to build towards, something that will continue to make you money, something that's going to expand your repertoire and get you into new markets. What you've got to do is you've got to think hard about where you're going with this. So, for example, for tailoring, and this goes for most other professions in different ways, but for tailoring, that would mean going into garment crafting and outerwear and cloaks. If you happen to have the money to get the new undulating spore cloak recipe, let's say you don't do that. What pieces are selling the best, right? So
Yep.
the off pieces that are selling the best for most people are probably belt and bracers.
Yep.
So instead of that, you would go garment crafting, embellishments, then you'd max out armbands and belts. Done. Right
Done.
there, you just expanded into two other markets there. Go outerwear and then footwear. The point here is to pick very specific things. So most of the tailoring orders that I get outside of the sport cloak would either be belts, bracers, or boots. Pick that up. You don't need to worry about anything else, just those. So that's the other lesson here. Target what you want to do and know what the market wants. Because, for example, you know, Kriket, just as an example, let's say that you were just getting into leatherworking, and you're sitting here thinking, this is going to be great. I'm going to make my own gear, and
Yep.
you kind of get into making your mail, and you
What I
start
did. Yep.
what most people do is one of two things. Either they stick points in piecemeal, so they've got a little bit in everything because they're like, well, I'm just getting better. No, you're getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
You're not actually doing anything. You got to target something specific, or they'll target the wrong thing.
Yeah.
They'll do something like that. They'll target they'll target chest or helm or something like that. Those are tier slots. Nobody wants to put an
Yeah.
embellishment there.
Yeah. My goal was the bow when I first started. Was to be able to
Yeah,
craft my
I
own bow.
remember.
So that was the first thing I focused on was the bestial talent tree, uh, because that was what towards the bow, and then the other one I'll look at it right now because I forget the name of it. The bonding and stitching was the other thing.
And
That,
how much money did going that route really net you?
well, I wasn't really working on money at the time, but yeah, it didn't make me much money.
Yeah.
But every now and then, somebody would want a bow, and I could craft it. Um, so I made a little bit off of it,
Yeah.
but
And you might.
yeah.
In particular,
But
if you
it's a very niche thing because there's only one class in the game that uses fucking bow. So it's
yeah.
you know
And if you happen to be the best on your server at crafting bows, there is nothing wrong with that.
no,
But
because
you
there are
need
a lot of hunters. I mean,
you
there,
need
there's a
to
lot.
know exactly what goes into maximizing that,
Yes,
right?
which I did,
Y-
but yeah,
Yeah.
because
I
I
mean now,
yeah.
but
Well,
like
I mean, I looked it up to see
think
what
about
my
when you were
best
first getting
route
into it.
is. Yeah.
Did you really know exactly what was going to go into maxing that, or did you just see, well, I can unlock the recipe if I just go down this route?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I just looked for. I just followed the tooltips on the tree. I didn't dive deep into it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
yeah, it
and
wasn't
I
the
feel like
smartest way.
I
But,
feel like that's a mistake that most new crafters make. They feel like they're not going to have to put some work in. They are, and it may not be a lot of work. Like you've made a lot of money on tailoring because I told you, hey, go down this route. You did it.
mm-hmm.
You started making money at it almost immediately.
Yep. And now I've been
And
focusing on the leatherworking, and that's paid off. That's paid off
yeah,
big time. Being able to make the bracers at a high level. I can make. With an insight, I can get rank 5 on 447s guaranteed on any
oh yeah,
piece now. Just because I've been doing the work, I've got my points. I've been getting my weekly points. I've been getting, all of that adding up. My skills went way up, and that's just literally in the last few weeks. So it is doable. Like you're saying, it's doable if you put the work into it.
and you can start making money
Yeah.
as early as the day you pick up your profession. If you just take the time to know what it is that you want to do and take the time to get the points, and because it's front loaded like that, you're talking, you could start the day out and by the end of the day have a couple hundred points sitting there or more.
Easily,
So
easily.
so you know people thinking that that it's impossible. It's not impossible. It's extremely possible. um I'll tell you right now, one of the best ways that new gold makers can really make gold, and this is going to go down in future weeks, so pay attention. Um, the barter brick crafting quests,
Mm-hmm.
because everything that's being crafted is not crafted at a high level. It's being crafted at a fairly low level. So if you know what the crafted quests are, if you have a profession that you want to work at, figure out what that crafting quest is. Figure out what you're going to have to prepare. You know, try and buy supplies for that cheap, and then go put your effort into that, because that is going to make money. And sometimes the prices won't necessarily skyrocket. Sometimes it's just that demand is way up. You saw that this week with the drums.
Yep.
But let me give you an example. The one that I'm preparing the most for is inscription. You know, I can do all sorts of things for all sorts of professions. I'm maxed on a lot of different stuff. But Inscription is going to be a really big quest series for me because it's 50 rank 3 shimmering pigments, which if you max the right talents, which it doesn't take long to do, literally as long as you're milling rank 3 blooms that give you shimmering pigment, you get rank 3. So that's easy enough, and it takes 50 of them. So I've got tens of thousands of this saved up. I think I've probably got well over 100.
You probably got more than you.
Yeah, this is the one that I put the most work into. Look at the other thing that it's gonna take is rank 2 chilled runes, 15 of them. The rank 2 chilled runes, right now they're about 50, 60 gold. Sometimes they go as much as 70. I've seen them go upwards of 80 to 100. Rank 3s, same thing. Rank 2 chilled runes, that's not hard to do, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you've got a multi-craft tool or resourcefulness tool, something like that, save some materials, that can be really big. But that's all about frost and
Frost is
serene
so
inks.
expensive right now.
So when you think about that, you go, okay, that expands your market further. Because now, Inscription has some of the slowest craft times ever. So now you have the pigments that you want to do. Then you've got the chilled runes at rank 2. What about ink? You know, because everybody and their mother jumps in. They want to get to it immediately, and most of them don't craft their own ink. And crafting their own ink takes a long fucking time. Okay, you could craft ink. You could sell the pigments to craft ink just in case they happen to, want to fucking craft it themselves. I don't know why they would at this point, because at that point, it would take a while, basically. Frost too. If you were able to buy Frost low, which right now Frost is way up. I don't know if that's going to be a good bet for you unless you're doing what I just previously described, which is unraveling cloth.
Yeah, I was looking at the frostbitten costs are a little over, just under 5 gold actually. They're closer to 5 gold than they are 4. And then the awakened frost is 113.
Yeah. And
so,
then,
and remember, and this was something that was 15, 20 gold a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So the demand for frost is skyrocketing.
So if you can pick up frost cheap, or if you can produce your own frost, if you've got a guildie that can produce their own frost, that'll make a huge difference. It's not just about crafting your own runes. You got to think about those secondary markets, because then it's like, okay, while I'm selling this, what happens when I look and it's like, oh okay, rousing frost is now going for 12, 15, 20, 20 gold a piece for a rousing frost. That has actually happened. And it's not just rousing frost. I remember week 1 we had the use of stews, right? And it wasn't just that the stews had increased in price. Someone cornered the markets on the mammoth ribs. And the mammoth ribs that go into making the stews that are normally like, a few silver or like a gold or 2 a piece, were going for like 50 or 60 gold a piece.
Crazy.
So that, and people were still able to make money at that price on the stews themselves. So that's the kind of thing. It pays to know what's coming up as far as both the quest, what you need for the quest, what you can craft for the quest, but also what you can sell. You know, imagine last week, or this week rather, if you had picked up a bunch of lustrous scales beforehand, and you
Oh
managed
God,
to
yeah.
pick them up at like 15 gold, and then they went, you know, first thing that happened when the servers came up, someone bought them all.
Yep.
Then they were going for like 100 gold. I think I saw them down at like 35 gold. They eventually got back down to what they normally did,
What they were.
about
Yep.
like 20, 20, 25,
They're
30
around
gold, somewhere in
25,
there.
26 right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is what they were. But I was one
but
of those that bought a bunch of them around
but things fluctuate
15,
throughout
20
the
gold.
week. So
Yep.
if you had managed to scoop them up at 15,
Yep.
you're a happy fucking camper.
I was. I was
Exactly.
very happy because I bought most of mine around. They were just under 20 when I bought. I bought thousands of them at
Yeah.
around 20 gold a piece. So even I could have just flipped them and made gold. But the drums, obviously, with the multi-craft, made more.
Yeah.
So I averaged selling most of my drums for around 22 gold a piece. So
Yeah. I'm looking at that with enchanting right now.
yep.
You know, the enchanting quest requires 5 rank 3s of each of the low grade cloak enchants, I believe.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, I
so
went
not
ahead and
not even
bought
the
dust while
devotions,
it was
the
cheap too,
bits.
for my
Yeah,
enchanter to make them. So,
yeah. Oh, or let's say you're not in a position to do that. You know, they do craft fast, and especially if you have a resourcefulness tool, like it would be very easy to stock up on this, and at a price where you probably make money anyways. But you'd be able to sell them throughout the week. You'll make money. But let's say if instead of that, you just bought the dust, because the dust tends to range from about you know, 1.6 gold per to about 2.8 gold per. If you manage to scoop up a bunch at 1.6, and then the dust goes up, and you're able to sell it, 2.8 or 3.5. It it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen there, but either way, like if you're able to sell then at a higher price, even if you don't have enchanting, that's a way you can get in on the enchanting barter brick quest market. So now we're talking about things you don't even have to have a fucking profession for. You can flip stuff. You've got to be careful when doing that, because you know you don't know how much someone else has saved up and that kind of thing. But and that definitely carries with it a little more risk sometimes. But like I said, it, there are definitely ways that you can make money in this economy, especially with the barter brick quests or with the front load in knowledge.
there's
Easy
tons of
peasy.
ways, and
Yeah,
that was one of the things too that you threw out is for people to not get discouraged either with new professions or new players that are just coming in. It's that if it's so front loaded, and you can just with doing a little bit of research, and you can make gold right off the
yeah,
bat. I mean, so I
yeah,
think that's a big thing that you can't really say it enough. You can make money with any profession right off the bat if you put your points in the right shit early on.
and if you're willing to take a little time out of your day and actually put in a little bit of work,
Will they work?
not
Not
even
a
a
whole
lot of
lot
bit
of
of work,
yeah.
just a little bit of work, and it goes a long fucking way. I feel like that happens a lot too. Is sometimes I explain this stuff to people and they go, "Yeah, I know, but
Yeah, that
that
was
sounds like I'm
me.
gonna have to fucking do stuff." And
That was me. I gotta do stuff, really? But it, turns out you don't have to do a whole lot of stuff. Like it's literally just basic, basic things.
it really is. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. And I get it. Some of it for some people is gonna be boring. And you know what? That's fine. Like I get it. Buy a WoW token. There's nothing wrong with that. you know, I'm not worried about the fact that someone's going to buy a WoW token or anything like that. Good on you. But I know people that they struggle to pay their thing every month,
Yeah.
and people that maybe they don't, but they also don't necessarily have the money to be spending on fucking WoW tokens all the time just in order to raid or just
True.
in order to do Mythic Plus and what have you. It's doable, guys. It really is.
Big true.
You know.
Big true. Well, hopefully people learned a lot. And you got any more to add? Like,
Uh, not really more to add. Just gonna say, if you're thinking about picking up a profession and you don't know how you would make money with it, toss us a question about it.
yeah, absolutely.
Toss us a question.
Open.
I have no problem at least telling you how I would make money at it, because I make money at every single profession I do, and I do every profession. And sometimes I do it at high level crafting. I am at a point where I did that, but you know what? I didn't start any of them for high level crafting. Not a single fucking one. And by and large, most of my gold doesn't come from high level crafting. So, most of my gold comes from producing. So, toss us a line. I'll tell you probably, I'll probably be able to tell you what I would do in your position in order to make gold.
Yep. All right. Well, yeah, absolutely. Comments are open on YouTube. More than welcome to take DMs on Twitch. However you need to get a hold of us, we're available. All my socials are linked there. I will relay them to Mr. Misek, and so yeah, definitely. All right, dude. Phew.
It's been a good week.
It
was a long podcast, but it's been a good week.
It's just been a long week, but it's been a good week. It's been a really good week. Just just a lot going out, a lot going on. Hopefully make some money. Take advantage. Everybody's gonna be getting a third spark this week after our nice 4-hour maintenance tomorrow.
Yeah. That means
fuck you, Blizzard.
Probably gonna jump up.
Fuck you, Blizzard. 4-hour maintenance. No reason for it.
There's a reason for it. I don't know what the fuck it is.
No, there's no reason. Look, I'm going to go off on a rant here to end the podcast real quick. This game's been out almost 20 years. Weekly maintenance is fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Blizzard, get your shit together. There's no reason that you should be doing a weekly fucking maintenance.
I mean, most MMOs do. It's because there actually are server maintenance things.
I'm done. No, I'm done. Done. 20 years of this shit's enough. They need to maintain the servers. You don't need to do it weekly. I'm not
right.
You don't need to do it weekly. Any person that does tech will tell you that it doesn't need to be done on a weekly basis unless you're changing a bunch of shit up every week. So
yeah. It'd be interesting to know if they are.
Yeah, I mean, I know they hotfix a lot of things, and then they do the maintenance to make sure they're stable and stuff like that. I get that, but when they're not doing a bunch of shit, like right now, I get it more. I get it more because there's a lot of changes going on. Later on into a patch, there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. But all right, we'll end it with that rant. Mr. Misek, always fun. 9th week in a row we've done this. We'll shoot for week number 10 next week.
Hell yeah, man.
This will go up on YouTube really quick today because I'm at home. So it'll be up on YouTube in literally just a few hours. Yeah. All right. Great show. Went well. Nice and smooth. I didn't fuck anything up today, shockingly.
I know I'm shocked.
But all right. Thanks everybody for watching. And check us out on YouTube. Send us messages if you have questions. More than happy to help. Yep. See y'all next week.
Yep, we'll catch you later.
Bye.